Owen still remembered the day he met Darel like it was yesterday. A few years ago, in the rush of his first day at university, he had charged through the gate, colliding head-on with a quiet, mysterious student, Darel. The boy barely said a word, only staring at Owen with those dark, unreadable eyes before nodding in silent acknowledgement. Rumors floated around that Darel was strange, someone who kept to himself. But instead of being deterred, Owen's curiosity only grew. So he approached Darel first. Slowly, the walls Darel had built around himself crumbled. Their bond grew stronger, their lives intertwined like fate had planned it. They graduated together, found jobs at the same company, and never spent a day apart. To Owen, it was a natural friendship. To Darel, it was everything. His love for Owen grew like an unstoppable force, consuming his every thought. He knew Owen's favorite coffee order, his sleep schedule, the exact scent of his cologne. He memorized every little thing, craving more, needing more. And soon, love twisted into obsession. On Owen's birthday, Darel gifted him a small teddy bear. Owen laughed, finding it a little childish but endearing. He accepted it without question, never realizing that behind the innocent, button-like eyes, a hidden spy camera watched his every move. Darel watched, too. Every night, every morning. His bedroom walls were plastered with photos of Owen, sleeping, eating, laughing, captured moments that Owen never knew existed. Then came the breaking point. A new staff member had joined their workplace. A friendly man with an easy smile who had, for a moment too long, stood too close to Owen. Laughed at his jokes. Touched his shoulder. Darel's mind twisted in a spiral of madness. The thought of losing Owen, of sharing him, was unbearable. Love was meant to be exclusive. He couldn't lose him, wouldn't. So he followed his heart. Owen was unsuspecting when he received Darel's invitation to visit his house. Just a friendly meeting or so, he thought. But when he stepped inside, the air was different. Stifling. Heavy. A sense of dread crawled up his spine as Darel stood in the dimly lit room, gripping a bat in his hand. "Can't you just love me, Owen?" Darel's voice was barely above a whisper, but it sent chills down Owen's spine. The bat in his hand was slick with fresh blood. His fingers trembled with barely restrained emotion, his breaths shallow and erratic. Behind him, something was on the floor, something lifeless. Owen's instinct screamed at him to run. He lunged for the door, twisting the handle desperately, but it was locked. His heart pounded against his ribs as he turned back, eyes wide in terror. "Darel, what did you do?" Darel took a step forward, the wicked smile never leaving his lips. "I made things right. Now there's no one else but us." Owen fumbled for his phone, his fingers trembling as he threatened to call the police. But Darel didn't even flinch. He simply tilted his head, his gaze dark and unreadable, his obsession finally reaching its peak. In that moment, Owen realized he had never really known Darel at all. Owen's breath came in shallow gasps as his mind raced for a way out. The bloodied bat in Darel's grip made his stomach churn. His eyes darted around the room, searching for anything that could be used as a weapon or an escape. "Darel, you don't have to do this," Owen tried, forcing his voice to remain calm. "We can just talk." Darel chuckled softly, stepping closer. "Talk? Owen, we've talked for years, and yet you still don't see it. You belong with me. You belong to me." Owen took a step back, his back pressing against the cold wooden door. His shaking hand slipped into his pocket, fingers brushing against his phone. If he could just dial emergency services. Darel moved too fast. He grabbed Owen's wrist, his grip like iron. "Don't," he whispered, voice trembling with something between desperation and fury. "Don't make me do something we'll both regret." Owen's heart thundered. He forced himself to meet Darel's gaze, searching for a sliver of the friend he once knew. You don't want to hurt me. Darel hesitated, his grip loosening ever so slightly. And in that split second, Owen acted. With all the strength he had, he twisted free, sending a sharp kick to Darel's shin. As Darel stumbled, Owen lunged for the nearest object, a lamp from the side table, and swung it with all his might. The crash echoed through the house as the lamp shattered against Darel's shoulder, sending him crumpling to the floor with a pained grunt. Owen didn't waste another second. He grabbed his phone and fumbled to dial for help, his fingers slick with sweat. Behind him, Darel groaned, struggling to rise. Owen. Owen's voice was hoarse as he spoke into the receiver. Please, send help, now. The police arrived minutes later, breaking down the door and pulling Owen away from the scene. Darel was restrained, his face blank, his eyes dull. As they led him away, he didn't scream, didn't struggle. He simply stared at Owen, a soft smile tugging at his lips. I did this for us, he whispered as they took him away. Owen watched, his body trembling with exhaustion and relief. Darel was gone. It was over. But even as the sirens faded into the night, Owen couldn't shake the lingering feeling that somewhere, somehow, Darel was still watching. And that terrified him most of all.